Hi, good evening. I just realized you couldn't hear me. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to today's session of Stock to Finish. Now, I've got asked a couple of questions on how people can actually complete tasks, how they can complete projects. So I decided to make today a Q&A session where I will answer questions based on what we've already done, kind of like a recap. Facts. We've done like 22 days, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, today's the 22nd. We've done 22 days. So the past 22 days, a lot has been said. Some days were fast paced, others were a lot slower. So today's session will be just walking down memory lane with speed to prepare us for the last 8 days. And then we will take it from there. The aim is not just to overwhelm you again, but rather to answer questions that I have been asked on certain pages. I get asked all the time, DK, how do I, all this sound like fantastic ideas on paper, absolutely fantastic. I should be able to plan my time. I should be able to do the 135. These are fantastic things that I can do. But what it's still overwhelming. It's still a lot of information. How can I ensure that I don't get stuck? What do I need to do? When you talk about a personal productivity system, what do you really mean? So I've gotten asked a couple of questions. And if you have more questions you want me to answer today, today is the right time to ask your questions and I'll be more than happy to answer them. But let's answer a couple. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to go down memory lane. We're going to go from day one to answer a few questions I got about that day. And I'll pin the questions to the chat so you can see what we're doing. But for those just joining us for the first time, hi, welcome to today's edition of Stock to Unstock. Today's edition is special and we are going to be looking at how we help people and how we just answer simple questions. We've talked about stock to unstock a lot of times, but what does that mean? For people that didn't join us from the first session and they want to participate, how do they participate? Is it something that can be done by everybody when we are setting goals? Because I always say it goes beyond goal setting. It's not just about setting goals, but it's about creating a system. So, what's in my own personal productivity system is something I get asked. And I'll share my old personal productivity system first, then I'll talk you through what I will do. I may or may not, depending on time, I may or may not give you examples with actual the Google Docs to show you how to break things down. But you have a goal. That's the first thing I know you have. The goal is, for example, I think maybe best I work with a Google Doc, so I will open the blank document and walk you through this. But or you can take your pen and paper best. Give me an example of a goal you want me to break into project, task, action steps, and review. So we've got project, task, action steps, and review. So if I don't get an example, I'll give my own example. Um, we did a refresh, a brand refresh, and part of our brand refresh was to move more to the accountability part and productivity coaching and make that more prominent. So it wasn't really a rebrand, but mostly what I would describe as a brand refresh. Now, um, that was the goal, the brand refresh. Under the brand refresh, I had different projects. I had the reset project, which is a summit or workshop we're having, the masterclass we're having, and then I have the accountability, the commitment circle, which I will talk to you about later. So it has two different projects, and we could talk about the maybe a marketing and sales project for both. But let's say we have two main projects. So from one goal, you get projects. What is that goal you want to achieve? You can't achieve it as a whole. Some goals need to be broken into projects because there are different parts of the goal that you need to accomplish. So goals, projects now have tasks. Every task is specific. So we have goals, project, task, then we have action steps and review. Now, our tasks are just single things that you can do in one session, but sometimes they are broken into action steps. So it's like a to-do list, a specific step that you are taking. So the task could be to do DM marketing. In order to do DM marketing, you have to write the copy, you have to decide the image you want to use, you have to create the graphics if you are graphics, you have to think of the link you want to put that will be your call to action, and you have to do one more thing, send. So there are 5 action steps for one task. Why am I breaking things into parts? Because you can't do everything at once. You need to understand that a goal as a whole on your timetable, on your calendar, on your vision board is broad. Breaking it into projects, action steps, tasks, and review helps you to actually get it done better. It gives you an opportunity to win. Reason I say review is I said do daily, weekly, and quarterly reviews, and these are marked on your calendars. So for today, what I will say is start with the daily review and do it first day. Don't do it perfectly. When you're doing your reviews, the best thing to do is not to do it perfectly. When you attempt to do your reviews perfectly, you don't do them at all. Now, what are you doing in these reviews? You are being honest with yourself about the state of your mind, the state of your activities, where you are, where you want to go to, etc. So basically, you are looking at what you've done and then deciding how you fared. And the best person to give you a result is you. You're not waiting for an external person to tell you what to do. You're actually being specific on your own to decide this is what I will do. So, what do you want to do? So, to me, parts is a fantastic way I use it. So, this is the simplest form of a productivity system because it has the project, the action steps, the task, and the review that you need in order to achieve your goal. Everybody's own may be different, but I think the shortest cut I can think to ensuring you get what needs to be done is parts. Now you're like, okay, what if a goal doesn't have so many projects? The goal just has one major project. I can't break it down into projects. Then don't force it to be broken into projects. It becomes art. ART is just action steps, review task, ATR if you choose, but I like it to rhyme, so I'll remember every single thing. So you say, okay, these are the action steps I have to take in. These action steps, these are the tasks that are underneath these action steps. Why are you breaking things down and not leaving them as large objects, large objectives, large goals? The smaller it is, the better your chance of winning. But you have to create that time on your calendar to actually get this done. You can't get it done if you don't plan to do it. You can plan to do it in your head, but if you do not actually break it down on your calendar and create time on your calendar to do this task, you don't. For example, if I want to launch a new t-shirt line, there's a lot of needs to be done in that t-shirt line. And I have to break it into the different projects that will need to be done, the different action steps, different tasks, and then I review regularly. The reason you're reviewing regularly and going back to the main project is so you will determine if you've lost course, if you've changed course, if the project has changed, if the goal has changed. If the goal has changed, well and good. But if you realize that you've jumped into another project entirely different, then you know that it's time to readjust and go back to what you were doing. So that's the first question that I got. What is the simplest way of creating a system? Why am I just calling this a system and not goals? Because it's just not about setting the goals. It goes beyond goal setting and writing a to-do list. The review part is what makes it different. The feedback you are receiving from yourself is what makes it different. The fact that you can speak to yourself in an honest way. And if you can't do it, then you will come with support. That will be S. So if you can't do this on your own, get support. Add and remove what you need. Everything is not cast in stone. Part is a good way, but I have accountability in my parts. I have other things that I am doing. But like I said, this is the shortest cut if you're working on your own and you want to achieve your goals. Part, projects, action steps, task, and review. And it doesn't go the way it should go. Next thing we will look at will be the very first part we looked at about productivity myths. Productivity is not about doing more. We've established that. But someone said, so what is the need of being productive? if I can't do more. So we talked about the fact that productivity is not about doing more. So many people, when they hear productivity, all that comes to mind is, oh, it's about me doing more. So let's go to that specific slide that talked about productivity and it not being about doing more. Sometimes the old productivity myths talked about productivity being about doing more. We've had the effectiveness versus efficiency conversation, but we said productivity is is about getting more done faster. That's an old myth that people had. They say productivity is what we realize is that productivity is about efficiency first, then effectiveness first, then efficiency. Most people say, oh, you should be efficient, you should be productive. So the efficiency versus effectiveness conversation is the one that we add first and is one that we should go back to. So it's about effectiveness, then efficiency. Efficiency doesn't mean anything if you are doing the wrong thing. So if you are doing more things but you are doing all the wrong things, it doesn't mean anything. That's exactly what this means. You can be good and you can be fast. You can have all the speed you want when it comes to doing work, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it's about effectiveness first, then efficiency. Efficiency doesn't matter if you are doing the wrong thing. That's what we established. The way to be productive is to have the right tool. This was another conversation about efficiency versus effectiveness, especially with the AI conversation. And the truth is, you don't have to have all the right tools. You don't need to have the best tools in the market. The good tools are good for you. But sometimes what you need is your brain, a pen and paper in the knowledge economy to get things done. Because when you have the best tools in the world, there's a problem because you are dependent on the tools. You make the tools better by using them. The tools don't just improve you, but you also show how they can be used. You show the versatile nature of tools when you use them. So don't think tools and techniques are all about tools and techniques. They're about the person using them. So how do you ensure you are the best version of yourself when you're using these tools and techniques? That's a conversation we had earlier. And then what we realized is productivity comes from the character, not just techniques. It doesn't matter if you are doing the wrong. It does Efficiency doesn't matter if you are doing the wrong thing. So you could have the techniques, but your character matters. Who are you when you are doing the things? Are you doing the wrong thing, but you say the end justify the means, or the means justify the end? Whatever you say, but whatever you put in, you would get. You cannot be lazy today and expect to be hardworking when you get to a certain position. The way you show up today is the way you will show up tomorrow. The way you show up in little things is the way you will show up in major things. Most people have this attitude of, I won't give my best. When I get to a certain position, I will be able to do better. I will do better in XYZ. For now, no. And if that's your character, if that's the way you see work, then there is a problem. It's about waking up to the reality that whatever you do, you should do well. Anything doing is worth doing well. It's about waking up to the reality that you could have the best techniques in the world, but your character could be bad, and that doesn't make a difference. So productivity is not just about having the right tools and this thing. Sometimes, let me know if this is you. You know what to do, but you just don't find yourself doing it. You know exactly what you should be doing. You should be sleeping at certain times, but you find yourself doing somebody else. So knowing what to do is not enough, because all of us know what to do. We know we shouldn't procrastinate. You know you should wash your dishes on time. You know you should do your laundry on time so that you can save time the next time you're doing something. You know all these things, but you find that you are not doing the right thing. So knowing what to do is not enough, but scheduling your time and having the discipline plays a vital role. So yes, if you know what to do, doing it is what matters. It's not about the knowledge you have, it's expressing that knowledge, it's using that knowledge, it's applying that knowledge. So productivity is not just about knowing all the things that all the do's and don'ts, all the ways to be the best productive person, all the things you should do, but they're not taking action at all. That itself is a problem. So it's more action based. What you're doing with your time, what you're doing with your energy, how we can, as I say, leverage your skills and idea to get the best results that you need. So that's one other thing that we talked about the first day that I felt we should revisit. The best way to be productive is to have the right tools and techniques. We've touched on this. Productivity comes first from character. The next thing you say, we'll have peace of mind and be happy if we get it under control. This is a fact lie. it, it's not just about you can't have everything under control. You can control some. So when I say you cannot eliminate certain things, certain distractions, you can manage them. You can't control everything. You have to give room for flexibility. But saying you're giving room for flexibility, then you have become use more of a tardy approach to getting things done. It's not the best way to do it. So productivity comes from, yes, it gives you peace, it gives you control, but you can't have the whole thing under control. But if you derive peace from your ability to do things, it will not make you more productive. If you derive peace from your ability to do things, it doesn't make you more productive. The greatest evidence of productivity comes from intangibles, not tangibles. And this is what I mean. When we say the greatest evidence of productivity, and I got asked this question, that what do I mean by intangibles and not tangibles? That productivity is about results. And I'm saying, yes, you're trying to get results, but there are certain things you learn on your wonder journey that you don't learn if you don't do it. So the first day you try to do something, you may not do it well. The second day, the third attempt, the fourth attempt, but you're learning perseverance. You're learning certain things. You're learning time management. You're learning other skills. There are other intangible things that you are learning along the way that cannot be bought in with money. Now, for example, I've been going live for 30 days. That's building competence. It's something that I've done. I've been going live since 2016, but 30 days back to back has been a struggle. So when I say productivity comes from the intangible, not tangibles, what I'm saying is don't think only about the end result. If you've made up your mind to do certain things, do it. And you can't do it all. This is another wonderful myth to say productivity is about doing it all. If you do it all, you won't have any time for yourself. Productivity is about, first of all, managing the resources you have, leveraging your skills and idea, and doing all that you can, but not every single thing. It's not possible to do every single thing. You will become more productive at every single thing that you dream of doing, you will do. It's impossible. For us, it's about being human, it's about being authentic, it's about being ourselves. And one thing with authenticity is that it's about you being vulnerable with yourself. Be honest. It's not about doing everything because you can't do everything. Another thing to say is time management. Someone said that I keep saying time management is not the solution. It's part of the solution, not the full solution. It's part. And once you realize that it's just a part of it and not the full thing, it changes your mindset, it changes your perspective, it changes your outlook on life. So, time management is important. I talk about the fact that it's not just about managing time, but it's about respecting time, not just your time or other people's time. So, you can learn how to manage your time and you put pressure on people that when you want something done, they have to do it at that point in time for you. But when you respect your time, especially when you work with a team, with a virtual team, you book appointments on people's calendar, you give them enough opportunity to carry out the tasks they're supposed to carry out for you. You are not reactive. Most people are reactive. And that's another conversation we've had in the past couple of 21 days. It's about being proactive and not reactive. That's what time management is about. It's not the only solution to getting things done. It's part of the solution, but not the solution. And one thing that people had an issue with is my conversations on multitasking. Now, I say I don't multitask, especially when it comes to doing important work. I can multitask when I'm doing my minor things, but when it comes to doing things that are very important, I don't multitask. Now, I will say what I'm doing is I'm live, I'm sharing my screen on my laptop, I'm sharing on my phone. That's different, but it's the same task. So I'm not calling that multitasking because they are serving the same purpose where I'm able to use my cognitive skills to get something done. So if it's something like that, working on two screens, working on the same project, then you're not multitasking. But there's sometimes that you're working on the same project that you find yourself on another task. Remember, we talked about project, action step, task, and goals. You have to understand that it's different when you're working on tasks that have the same objectives, where you have to do research, That's not what I'm talking about when it comes to multitasking. Multitasking is taking two separate tasks that are not linked in any way and trying to do both of them well at the same time. Productivity is not about doing more tasks, but it's about focusing on one task at a time. So this was another thing to be talked about. Another thing that people questioned was the long hours. I said you don't need long hours to be productive. Sometimes it's not how long, but it's about your ability to focus and put your full attention on what you're doing when you're doing it. So you're not trying to do everything, but you're trying to do specific things at that time. And to me, that's one of the things that I believe in. So I think it takes effort to do things effortlessly. That's one thing we agreed on. That sometimes people that do things that make it seem so easy, they've actually put so much effort into it. And the effort they've put into it makes them it seem like they are doing it effortlessly. But you don't see the hours of pain, you don't see the hours of tears, you don't see all the things behind it, behind what they are doing in order for you to get things done. So it takes effort to do things effortlessly. Now, this is another thing that question that arose about no. And I say no is a complete sentence, no is a word, no is anything that you want it to be. And we need to learn to say no. Learn to say no to projects that may seem good to you. There are projects that don't align with your goals, projects that will take you in the wrong direction because you have only 24 hours in a day and 168 hours in a week. You want to ensure that the time that you're using it effectively. You're not just doing things the way you want to or the way others want to. So one way I've learned to say no is by not checking my emails first thing in the morning. And when I mentioned this, people were wondering, then what do you do? I don't check my emails first thing in the morning, and most of the time I switch off my email notification and put more mailbox alerts off. I forgot to do that today. But I've realized that emails and WhatsApp are a major distraction for me. Telegram, not really, because I don't go on Telegram often. But emails and WhatsApp, I had to say no to them in the morning. So, what are the things that distract you that you have to say no to in the morning? That you're saying no to yourself? Because we talked about saying no to others, but to yourself, what are the things you love doing? Are you saying no to watching 10 episodes of The Witcher the day it comes out? Are you saying no to yourself when it comes to checking your emails and responding to your emails? The reason I don't check emails in the morning is when I check an email and I see a response to something or a question, an inquiry, I see something. What I am doing is taking out, completing the task on somebody else's to do list. So, this is what I do. I plan the night before. So, this evening, I will check my emails and ensure that every single thing is organized and arranged the way it should be. So I'm learning to say no to myself. By saying yes to myself at night and checking my emails, I'll be able to say no in the morning and I won't see that the first thing I should check will be my emails. Then I'll check my emails again in the afternoon. The ones I have to respond to, I respond to because it's on my to-do list. The beautiful thing about being a freelancer is that my time and energy is supposed to be free. But the worst thing is that it gets you busier. You realize that you are saying yes to so many things from different people, different things are distracting you. So, the way to control your calendar is by saying no, even if it may seem good. It may be a not now, it may be a no, it may be titi lai lai, it may be whatever it chooses to be. Learn to say no to people and projects. And that's it. So someone may say, oh, I want you to speak at my event. Oh, you wanted to go on stages. Is that in line with your projects and your goals for the year? Yes, it is. Okay, I will say yes to that. Oh, I don't want to do public speaking for now, but let me just, if it's not in line with what you want to achieve, then say no. And I think that's the last question we got asked before we move to the distraction one. So when it came to distraction, I don't know what's going on today. The system is okay. All right. So when it came to distraction, the Canva just restarted, but let's us just have a little chat about that. So when it came to distraction, we identified a couple of things. We said that We said that there are internal and external distractions, and what just happened was an external distraction that prevented me from functioning the way I wanted to function because it distracted my attention. So we said a distraction is something that diverts your attention. So you're meant to come up with your distraction list, which I would like to see. So if you've come up with your list, don't forget to share with me. All right. So I will be ending today's session a little bit early because I have a little technical problem and I'm thinking it's my laptop. I don't know if you can still hear me on Facebook, but hopefully I've been able to answer a couple of questions that were raised about the productivity, true and false activities about productivities, and I've been able to answer those questions. So thank you so much for joining me and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.